Hello and welcome to a new edition of True Audio Files. Today we're going to talk about Run DMC's Raising Hell. I have a couple of different versions of it that I did a sound quality shootout for, but before I get into that, I want to talk about the news that happened this week that is big news for me and any Prince fan, I would think, as well, and that is they have announced a super deluxe version of the album Diamonds and Pearls, which it was a good album in my opinion. I really enjoyed it, and I have not been able to get it on vinyl as of yet. And so they're going to be releasing a vinyl version of it, both standard and I think there's going to be a deluxe, maybe not on the vinyl though, but they're going to have a standard and a super deluxe anyways for the vinyl, where the super deluxe is going to have 12 records and a Blu-ray that's going to have a live concert from Glam Slam, his club that he had back in the early 90s and I believe late 80s too, but and also all the videos from the VHS slash Laserdisc slash DVD that came out for that album as well. So excited about that. Hopefully they do a better job of converting those videos to transfer onto Blu-ray than they did for Purple Rain, or I should say the Princeton Revolution Live, the Purple Rain era video, because they did a terrible job for the video on that. The audio was great, but the video was terrible. Anyways, super exciting about that. There'll also be a CD edition version, which I think it's 7 CDs and a Blu-ray as opposed to the 12 LPs and a Blu-ray. But there's going to be, I believe it's 47 previously unreleased tracks, which is exciting. And also there will be a 7-inch single box set as well, or there is one, I should say, because I have already got a shipping notification on mine. But I ordered it the day that it got announced, which was Thursday on the 24th of August, and it's already sold out. But I got a shipping notification like the next day, although it hasn't actually shipped yet. But it was limited to 1,991 box sets, and it has 7, I believe it's 7 singles. One of them is a single of 2 previous unreleased songs, plus the 6 singles from the record. So should be very exciting. I hope they do a good job with this. I believe that Sony is doing this one, where Warner Brothers had been doing the previous ones, and Warner Brothers had done a phenomenal job on 1999 and Sign of the Times. Let's hope that if Sony is doing this, like I'm pretty sure they are, that they do as good of a job, especially on the cut of the records, because I know that the records, at least the album proper, had been cut directly from the analog master tapes and weren't put through the remastering processes and things like that, which I don't have a problem with them doing it digitally. But the last couple of remasters they've done it in kind of just barely above CD quality sound, if that. And I just would prefer, if they're going to do it and master it at that level, that they cut it from the analog, or hopefully they have maybe a high resolution master that they're just not releasing and they can cut it from that. But anyways, that's the news from this week, and very excited about that. I was really anticipating a release for the Parade album, which had Kiss, the song Kiss on it, and because that was a spectacular album, and that was a rumor flying around for at least a couple years now that they were working on that, but I have not seen that come to fruition. So anyways, Diamonds and Pearls coming out, I want to say in September or October, end of September or October. But anyways, I can put that in the text maybe on the video to give you the exact street date. But pretty exciting stuff. Little expensive, but in comparison to the other deluxe box sets that are out there and what you're getting for content, it's really not a terrible deal. So anyway, that's my story. I'm sticking to it for that. And on the other news, let's get back to what I was doing this video for, and that is Run DMC Raising Hell. So I unfortunately missed out on the 45 RPM version that came out a couple years ago. I waited until it got actually released, and when I first found out that it got released, I tried to order it, and it was already sold out. So I missed out on that, and I've just been waiting. And actually, I've been noticing on Discogs it's starting to come down a little bit in price. So maybe I'll scoop it up when it gets down to closer to a price range that I want to spend. But anyway, I have 2 copies that I did a sound quality shootout on. The new one that it was the reason for the impetus for this review was the Supervinyl version for the 50th anniversary of hip hop, and I have excuse me, number 634. I don't think they actually say how many they're making. They just said it's a special edition, so maybe they're going to make a ton of them. I don't know, but this was cut from digital. They did a digital transfer of the master tapes and then cut from that on their lathes that they have at Mofi. So there's that one. And then I also have an original with the purple cover on it with the red back. And this one, I probably overpaid for it when I bought it at $26, but it's all pretty much near mint. There's like a couple of minor scuffs on it that you don't hear. So pretty cool, and I'm glad that I got the purple cover, and I'm also happy now that the Mobile Fidelity one was the green cover, so I actually have both covers. And although on the Mofi, there's actually, it's a gatefold, and you have the purple cover on the inside, as you can clearly see here, if I can get the get it right. So anyways, I mean, so there is that. Anyway, so I played through. How I normally do these is I'll play through the new version that I got, which in this case was the Mobile Fidelity Supervinyl. And after I do that, I will then pick a song or two that I want to listen to and compare the two, and just kind of do an A/B comparison back and forth until I'm satisfied with what my findings are. So in this case, it was pretty much a situation where I decided just the first track, because there really wasn't a standout where I could say I felt that there would be a big difference in versus all the other tracks to kind of determine what sounded better. So I went with It's Tricky. Actually, it's the second track. I apologize. I decided on It's Tricky. But anyways, I listened to Mofi, and the Mofi definitely had some great bass. I think it also had some good treble. Although, and this could very possibly be my setup and my adjustments, although I don't often have issues with this. It did seem to have some sibilance, and not earth-shatteringly torturous sibilance, but definitely some sibilance, especially on the cymbals. Every once in a great while on the vocals, but it wasn't enough for me to just turn it off and make it unlistenable. So that was the drawback, but the bass was great, the vocal clarity was great, the sound stage and imaging was really good on it. Then I listened to the original pressing, and I noticed it had some sibilance, but it actually wasn't as bad. As a matter of fact, it was, I would stretch to say, probably noticeably better and much less sibilance on it than the Mobile Fidelity. But it was still there. It was still present. But the one thing that was definitely noticeable is the soundstage was not as deep or as wide, and the imaging and placement of the instruments was not quite as precise as it was on the Mobile Fidelity, but still was very, very good. And I'd say the only way you'd really pick up on that part of it anyways was really just doing an A-B back and forth. But the Mobile Fidelity, the instruments or the samples or whatever you want to say, there's record scratching, where it was placed on the sound field was much more precise and more obvious on where it was. Where the original, you could definitely hear it was in that space, but it's kind of just, it wasn't as exact, if that's probably the best way I can describe it. Still very good though. And the EQ was not that far off. I would say that the Mobile Fidelity probably had a little bit more, maybe a little bit deeper bass and a little bit more high end. But in my opinion, maybe the high end was to the detriment of it because of the sibilance. But again, that could just be my setup. I would say the original still sounded really, really good. So, do you need an audiophile version of Run DMC's Raising Hell? I'm not sure. I mean, one of the other advantages it did give is because it was super vinyl, it was definitely quieter. But the original one was not incredibly loud, so it wasn't terrible. There was a little bit of a more of a surface noise though, but there was a little bit more surface noise than I was expecting on the super vinyl. So it is what it is. I would say if you have a good, clean original copy, I think you'd be pretty happy with it. If you really feel that you need to have, less surface noise and, that better, more precise sound stage, then the new Mobile Fidelity Super Vinyl is definitely one to go with. I would be very interested to hear what the 45 RPM sounds like, because 45 RPM in theory can help get rid of some of that sibilance, and maybe it did do that. I would like to really know that to see if that solves that problem, because if that problem was solved, then I would say that the Mobile Fidelity is more of a clear winner than it is now. Because as it stands, I think it's still probably a winner if you can live with a little bit more sibilance, just because of the soundstage and the deeper bass and things on that nature. But overall, I would not say there was a dramatic difference between the two. So there you have it. I'd love to hear your take. Have you actually been able to compare the Mobile Fidelities and the early pressings? Do you have the 45 and do you have the new Super Vinyl? Have you compared the two? I'd love to hear if you have and hear your take on that. So that's everything I have for this week. I hope you have a good rest of your day and a good rest of your week. I want to thank you for watching. I want to thank you if you subscribed. If you haven't, please do so, and hit that like button if you liked the video as well. So thanks a lot. Have a good one. See you next time.